Hello, this is Zeb Olsen with Metro Toyota in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Thank you very much for joining me. This is going to be a overview of the latest generation of the Toyota Entune unit. Now, just to date this video, it is April 4th. 2016. What we're looking at here is the home screen, which you can always go to by the home button. Now, depending on the vehicle that you're in, these buttons may look slightly different. They may be part of the touch screen or whatever, but they're all going to be in the general same area and have the exact same function and purpose. So I can touch anything on the touch screen to bring us up full screen. The home button will always bring us home. I can touch the radio, or I can hit the audio button. I can turn the radio on and off just like any other radio that you've ever had. I can dial a station, and I can use the voice commands, which I'll go through here shortly, to tell it what radio station that I want. We have a full-on app suite here. We've got Pandora, iHeartRadio, MovieTickets.com, Facebook, a fuel guide, sports, stocks, Slacker, and a few others as well. Okay. Up here in the top right corner is your settings button. This is where we can customize our home screen to our liking. Another way that I like it is maybe put the phone there, and then we can customize 4 favorites out of our contacts that are just one-touch speed dials, just like that. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to put the weather back on, and we're also going to be dealing a lot with the voice commands. One of the neat little features of this setup is that the voice commands work very, very well. They're very functional and very, very simple to use, which is also a very nice safety feature as well. That way you don't have to be distracted while you're driving and tell this thing to do virtually everything that you want it to do. Now, I'm going to go here. I was underneath settings, voice. This is how we change the volume of her voice. When I say her, I'm referring to the AI, the artificial intelligence of this unit, because she's going to prompt us through different things. The voice recognition prompts are on high right now, so she's going to give us a lot of feedback to help us learn the voice commands and things of that nature. Now, one thing that I'm going to do, because I'm going to leave this on, but I highly recommend, once you become familiar with the voice commands, turn the voice recognition prompts down to low and then eventually off. That way you just hit the voice command button on the steering wheel and tell the AI what you want it to do, and she's going to do it for us. Okay? There's a trained voice recognition program. This would have us read 10 sentences or phrases. That way it gets to know our particular voice, our speech inflections and dialect, so that the voice commands will work even better for you. And they'll work right out of the gate, unless you do have a strong or thick accent. Maybe you're from another country or things of that nature, then I would highly recommend that you go through the trained voice recognition. But for many people, it's going to work just fine without. The voice prompt interrupt. So what that means is, if she's talking and I start to talk, she's going to stop to listen and process what I'm trying to tell her. There's also a voice recognition tutorial that you can go through and maybe get some additional ideas on how to use the voice command setup here. The ones that I'm going to cover, I believe, are the most commonly used, the ones that you'll use the most often. I'm going to press the home button to get us back home. I am going to run through a few of the most commonly used voice commands at this time. Now, there's a voice command button on my steering wheel, which is out of the picture right now, but I'm going to press it. I'm going to wait for her to beep, kind of like an answering machine, and then I'm going to give her a command. Each command has a bit of a prefix or a certain phrase that she's going to want to hear in order for her to process and understand what it is that we want her to do. So I'm going to hit the button right now.
How may I help you?
Tune to 96.5. Keyword being tune to.
Tuning to 96.5 FM.
Now we've got the weather on here. There's no subscription for this, but it does require an HD radio signal, indicated by that little symbol right there. I'm going to do a few weather commands.
How may I help you?
Show the weather map.
Showing the weather map.
And that's going to bring up the Doppler radar for us. Again, all it requires is an HD radio signal, no subscription with this or anything.
What would you like to do?
Get the forecast.
The forecast for today is cloudy with a high of 36 and a low of 21.
Now, based on where I am in the vehicle right now, that's the location that she is going to use to give me weather information for. And then we've got a couple different things here. So the current will give us humidity percentage, the perceived temperature, the wind direction and speed. We've got a 3-day outlook and then a 6 to 12. Now, if I wanted to get it for a different location, I'm going to show you that now.
What would you like to do?
Get the forecast in Chicago.
The forecast for today in Chicago, Illinois is partly cloudy with a high of 38 and a low of 30.
And then it brings up the Chicago weather information. Now, I know you can't see it because I've got it out of the frame of the camera. However, there is a voice command button on my steering wheel that I am pressing in order for her to prompt her that I'm going to give her a voice command. I'm going to use some voice commands now to show you how the navigation setup works.
What would you like to do?
Find nearby Applebee's. Keyword being find nearby.
Showing nearby Applebee's neighborhood
It will
grill
always
bar.
bring them
Select
up
the one
in
you
order of
want.
proximity. So the closest one will always be number 1. I can tell her what number I want here, or I can press 1. And
To navigate to this point
one of the things that I like
say,
about this
go there,
is that
or
it
you
brings
can
up
say,
the phone
call
number.
them, or
So if I
mark
wanted to call
location.
ahead for seating or for takeout or to see how busy they are, I can do that, and then I can navigate right there as well. I'm just going to hit cancel on this. So I was specific with a name brand there in calling out Applebee's. Is if it's a major brand name, Applebee's, Walmart, Myers, Taco Bell, McDonald's, things of that nature, it's going to be able to pull that up, no problem. We can be very generic with it in order to find some of the more obscure places that you may not be able to find by name. I'll demonstrate that now.
What would you like to do?
Find nearby Chinese food.
Showing nearby Chinese. Select the one you want. To navigate to this point
Again,
of
it's
interest,
gonna bring
say,
up their
go
phone
there,
number for
or you
seating,
can say,
takeout, or
call
whatever we
them,
want to do,
or-
and then we can navigate right to it. I'm going to show you how easy it is to actually, before I do that, what if I want to find some place that's not nearby, but I want to navigate to it. So let's say we are going on a trip and we want to get to the airport and it's not close. So let's do this.
How may I help you?
Find airports. Notice how I skipped the word nearby.
Where would you like to find airports? Say something like, along my route.
In a city.
Say the name of the city and state where.
Detroit, Michigan.
Showing airports in Detroit.
So here's
Select
Detroit Metro.
To navigate
And then I
to
can
this
navigate
point of
right
interest,
there.
Say,
Okay.
go.
I was shortcutting some of these commands. When she's talking, if you hit the voice command button again, you'll cut her off and she'll beep, and then you can, continue. So that way you don't have to listen to the whole spiel. So if you notice there that she kind of stopped mid-sentence, it's because I hit the voice command button to shortcut the process and cut her off, trying to keep this video within a reasonable frame of time, because I know there's a lot to cover and I know it's already getting pretty long. So instead of saying find nearby, I just said find whatever it is what we're looking for, and tell it where in a city, and then city and state. Essentially, it's very simple to put in an address for the nav system. I'll show you that now.
What would you like to do?
Address.
For directions to an address, please say the full address, including the city and the state or province.
5850 Stadium Drive, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
I heard 5850 Stadium Drive, Kalamazoo, Michigan. Is that correct?
And then I can just answer and say yes, or go there, or start guidance, or whatever it is that I want to do. So this was basically a two-part command. I said address. I waited for her to be ready. I rattled off an entire address without the zip code at the end. That's very important. You want to be nice and fluid. What I mean by that is you don't want to have long pauses. If you do, she's going to stop to process what you told her, and then she's not going to have the complete information. So you don't want to say it so fast that it's slurred and she doesn't understand what you're saying, but you just don't want to have real long pauses in between, say, the address and the city and the state. Just rattle it off nice and clear, and know where the microphone is in your vehicle. It's typically in the overhead part where your lights are. That's typically where you'll find your microphone. Now, being that we're on the navigation right now, if you have your home address programmed, then we can use the voice command and say go home. You program that by going to destination and then go home, and then you can enter the address. So if I, very similar to if I wanted to program this little slot right there, would I like to set it now? Yes. I could do it from where I am in the vehicle right now. I could put in an address, or I can look at my previous destinations. What that means is if I've entered that address into the system before, then it should be there in the list, and I can just select it from there if I want to program it. I can give it a little icon. That way when I zoom out on the map, I can see where it is based on that icon and things of that nature. Okay? So hopefully everything is pretty simple, pretty clear so far. I'm going to touch navigation because here's a neat little thing that we can do as well with the nav unit. We've got the zoom in and zoom out here. I say I want to go to somebody's house. I don't know exactly what their address is, but I know the general vicinity of where they live. I can just kind of touch where I want to go. And as long as it brings me up an address, it knows that I'm not trying to navigate to a cornfield or something. And then I can hit enter and I can navigate right there. So this button here will center us back to where we are. The same rings true. So say we're just trying to get to, I'm in Kalamazoo right now, but say I want to get up here to Grand Rapids, all right, which is right around here. I'm going to zoom back in. I'm going to try to touch somewhere. It gave me an address. That works. Or I can get a little closer to the intersection maybe and then hit enter. And that's just kind of a neat little shortcut that you can utilize if you don't have an address and you're just trying to get from point A to point B and you know where you're going once you get there. Okay? So I'm going to zoom back in. And I can change look of the nav in terms of what direction that I'm going just by pressing this button right here up in the top left corner. So that's like 3D heading north. That's 2D heading north. And then back to my original one. That's the one that I like because I don't have very good spatial awareness in terms of if I'm heading northeast, south, or west. I just do not have a built-in compass like some people do. So that's the way that I like it. But to each their own. So if you like a different preference, you most certainly can do that. I'm going to go back here to home. I am going to go here to the radio. To program a station, we just put it on the station that we want, and then we just press and hold on the preset that we want it to hold. And hopefully you could hear the beep there. Here's our sound settings, which will be unique for each mode of audio. And what I mean by mode of audio, AM, FM, CD, Bluetooth, Pandora, iHeartRadio, those are all their own unique modes of audio, and they will all remember their own unique sound settings that you set for them. So if I'm in FM right now and I make changes and I go over to a different mode, it's going to be back to whatever the sound settings were for that mode that you programmed. Another neat note, well, I don't know if it's neat or not, but something to take note of is that it will remember what the volume was when you go from one to the other. So if I have something cranked and then I go to a different mode of audio, when I go back to that, it's going to be cranked. Another note, if you have it cranked and you take a phone call, you may want to turn it down because once you hang up that phone call, that's right, it's going to be cranked. So that could be a little bit loud for you. Hopefully this video has been informational thus far. I'm going to quickly go through the apps here. Again, we've got Pandora, iHeartRadio, MovieTickets.com. This does require the Toyota Entune app to access the internet via your data plan of your phone. So if you don't have unlimited data or have limited data, then you may be cautious in terms of streaming audio like Pandora and iHeartRadio and Slacker. What you see here is a text message coming through. This will read your text messages to you. We can read it or we can ignore whatever I press. Another neat little safety feature that is, you know, part of the unit. Okay, gonna go back home here, and I think I've covered most of what I want to cover. If you have questions or comments or need additional information or clarification on something, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You've got all my contact information, either from a previous meeting with me or in the front or back of this video. You've got my direct line, my email, and such. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help if I can be of service. Again, this is Zeb Olsen with Metro Toyota in Kalamazoo signing off, and have a wonderful day.